I know I just said I was going to take a break, but I really need to take a second and respond to some of these comments, and maybe I will finally give my extended and final thoughts on Doom Eternal, and just, say screw it, I'm done talking about it. I've talked about it enough. I'm never going to change my mind, because everything I feel is just my natural emotional response. You're not going to, gaslight me into thinking it's a better game than I think it is. And you're allowed to have your opinion. Just because I'm a YouTuber doesn't make me any more right than you, as just an average viewer. That being said, the rampant ad hominem and the generic get good comments are highly annoying, but there's also a decent amount of these comments that they put some thought into it, and some gave some pretty good counter arguments. So I just want to address some of these. And this shouldn't take too long. I know you guys enjoy some of these videos, and there's definitely going to be a rant type of slant to this, as you'll see in a second. So some of these I will read directly, and some of these I'm just going to respond to a general idea. So yeah, the first type of comment is obviously people complaining that I'm not good enough at the game to play Nightmare or something. Which, if I beat the main game and the DLCs on Nightmare, doesn't that inherently mean I'm good enough? But whatever, I guess I was supposed to beat it all in a few tries. The people who put several hundred hours into this game. Do you even understand how easy it is to criticize somebody else's footage? It's quintessential backseat gaming. People have done it since Let's Plays have existed on this website. If you posted your footage, I guarantee everyone could find something to complain about in the way that you played the game. Because unless you're literally a speedrunner, you're going to be making mistakes. And I purposely highlighted certain points where I had made mistakes to show how easily you can die with just one mistake. And it being on the highest difficulty is not an excuse. Which reminds me, if you didn't beat it on Nightmare, I don't care about your opinion on this issue. Because some of you people who wrote comments or upvoted other comments telling me I'm bad haven't even beaten it on Nightmare yourself, so that really invalidates what you have to say. But you have to understand, and this is to go back to my point about pseudo speedrunning and playing a game for no reason, that there is no way to prove to anybody how good you are at Doom Eternal, because Doom Eternal is essentially a single-player fighting game. The whole game is just spent fighting bots, and nobody cares how good you are at fighting bots. But since you're such an insular, echo chamber type of community, you attack anybody that criticizes your favorite game. But you don't represent the majority. And you don't have to look any further than the fact that this game hasn't won any Game of the Year awards except by maybe some no-name publication. It didn't even get the Gamer's Choice Game of the Year award at the Game Awards. It was beaten out by Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima. And those are on one platform. So clearly people didn't like Doom Eternal that much if they didn't bother to show up to vote for their favorite game. So yeah, if you ever wonder why Doom Eternal didn't win any Game of the Year awards, which I don't, and it's not just because journalists were sucking feminine penis. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. The game just alienated the casual fan base of gamers completely. But no, it doesn't matter. When you exist in an echo chamber, you think your opinion is the majority. So how dare somebody from outside your community criticize your favorite game? He must just be bad at the game. And it's I don't care if you think I'm bad. I beat the hardest difficulty, unless you count Ultra Nightmare, which, fair enough. I probably can't beat Ultra Nightmare without spending another 30 to 40 hours playing a game that I don't even like that much in the first place. So why would I do it? But also, imagine actually watching video guides on mechanics, because the game doesn't explain how they work. Is that not incredibly degenerate for any of you who have some sort of sanity left? Again, it's like you're training to be speedrunners. That's why you guys were so butthurt about the speedrunner comparison, because that's what you are. You're wasting your time to beat a game better, not because it's fun, but because of sunk cost fallacy. You've already wasted so much time getting better at a game that you convinced yourself it's fun to do the same exact thing over and over again, because it's not a multiplayer game, there's no unique experiences, all the spawns are the same, you're literally just doing the same thing over and over again to get better at the game for no reason. So yes, comparing you to speedrunners is pretty fucking apt. And I guarantee if I watched all of your faces while you played the game, they would be as soulless and expressionless. You people are so dopamine fried that this is the only way that it can stimulate you with this incredibly fast, challenging experience. And it's like, it's essentially just the worst part of the Souls fan base is the Doom Eternal fan base. You guys are making people who like the game casually look bad. And you will lead to the destruction of your own favorite franchise because you're going to make it cater more and more to a smaller crowd each time, the more elitist and hardcore people. It's just so pointless. I mean, really, imagine playing a single-player fighting game that is only single-player. And imagine wasting hours training to get better fighting bots. That's what this is. Another thing that you fanboys fail to understand, and I want you to be honest with me, which of course you won't, but let's pretend for a moment you're going to be honest with me. How many times have you played Doom Eternal? If it's more than 2, then you've played the game significantly more than I have, and so of course you're better than me at the game. If the answer is only 2, and you've watched a bunch of YouTube guides by like Under the Mayo about how mechanics work, then again, perfect reason you're better than me. Why should I have done either of those things just to review DLC for a video game? Name one other video game in existence where you have to play the game multiple times to be good enough to play it on, even the hardest difficulty. I can't even think of a game where you have to beat it multiple times just to have a chance to win effectively at the highest difficulty to appease try-hard fanboys. And I'm not going to take back anything I said about you people wasting your time, because you are. And obviously, you've all come to terms with that because you're having fun. I would just call it addiction. Because if you've ever watched any speedrun in your life, and I'm not even going to count GDQ, because all of them are degenerates, but if you just count normal speedrunners, look at their face while they're playing the game. Do they look like they're having fun? No. No, of course they're not, because they've played the game like 1,000 times. They know exactly what's going to happen. They've done the same thing over and over again just to beat us slightly faster because their dopamine receptors are fried. And so are yours, whether you admit it or not. And it's time to just fucking go cold turkey, dude. Stop playing Doom Eternal. Stop playing any shooters. Play like an action RPG, a hack and slash, a platformer, a fucking strategy game. Play literally anything else for a while. And then come back to shooters, and you'll be fine. You'll start having a good time again, instead of this remnants of fun that you claim to have. But again, that's just another opinion you people probably won't be able to handle. I don't really care what you do either way. But to address a few of these in particular, one that annoyed me was one of my clips where I got stun-locked to death by an archvile. Let me state that again. Stun-locked to death. People managed to nitpick that and say I was walking up to an archvile with a shotgun rather than dashing, using grappling hook or any ranged weapon. Bad game design. Proceeds to walk face first into a mancubus. First of all, those are just failures of awareness on my part. Normally, I wouldn't have done those things. You're taking 5-second clips out of context. I didn't know where that archvile was, and that's not my problem. My problem is I turn left, see an archvile, have about half a second at most to react before he shoots fire and instantly kills me. Like, my reaction speed is not the best in the world, I'll admit that. I'm not like a god gamer, and I'll never claim to be. That being said, I'm willing to beat my head against a wall to beat a particularly hard part, because normally, I find that fun. Doom Eternal, though, again, unless you are literally watching YouTube guides on mechanics and weapon combinations, the average player is not going to be able to beat this shit at all, no matter how hard he tries. And I just think that's bad design. There's no reason you should ever have to go to YouTube to watch how mechanics work for a single player game. If it's for a multiplayer game, that's fine, I get it, because people are going to do whatever it takes to be the best. But you have nothing to prove to anybody getting better at Doom Eternal. That's the thing I don't get. And yet it has such like a crazy, manic, circle jerk fan base. And I mean, I already knew that making this video, so I knew what the response was going to be. But it's just hilarious to see people scrounge at like the smallest little evidence that I'm bad at the game. And I'm not bad at the game, but I'm not as good as these people. I'll obviously admit that. But Someone who's bad at the game literally could not beat it on Nightmare. You people are so skewed in like your crazy radicalized fan base, you know, that's propped up by popular YouTubers, of course. But yeah, just generally, I don't even need to read some of these. I'll just put a few of them on screen that basically said the same thing. Again, people think I shouldn't play on Nightmare unless I'm at some certain undefined skill level at the game. But if I can beat it, even if it takes a few tries, doesn't that mean I'm good enough? It completely defeats the point if you can beat the game on the hardest difficulty in one try. Like, Ultra Nightmare should be something you do after, again, either watching YouTube guides, which is stupid, or a lot of practice of just beating your head against the wall in the game. And I would never try Ultra Nightmare. That is there for the true elite people that I have no desire in becoming. There is no reason I should have to be at a certain skill level to talk about what I don't like about a game. Because those things just are not correlated. Just because you wasted, you know, hundreds of hours or whatever getting good at a game, again, does not make your opinion any more valid than mine. I still beat the same thing you beat that I'm talking about. And I didn't like certain things. And learning stupid mechanics that I think are exploits, like hot swapping all these different guns and different cooldown timers and throwing in frag grenades, ice grenades, blah, 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 blah. Which I do that stuff, I just don't do it well enough. Because my reflexes just aren't fast enough. I'm not good at, like, quick reacting to a situation as much as some of these people. Because the game's just too fast. The game's too fucking fast for me. If you wanted to boil down a lot of my complaints to Doom Eternal, I literally just think it's too fast. Now, as for the level design complaints, this is the weirdest fanboyism to me. People are saying because it's an arena shooter, that means level design outside of arenas doesn't matter. Excuse me, what? So you're telling me if this game looked like an N64 game where it was just gray cubes with like a small hallway between gray cubes, you'd be completely fine with that? No, because some of you have jerked off how good the levels look. So don't you want the levels to play well in between arenas too? Or no, because your brain just turns off in between the arenas and just looks at a map to see like where the extra lives are, or the secrets, if you even care about the secrets. And then your brain turns back on once you get to like the fun zone. It's like, that's bad design. Doom 2016 had real levels with exploration and like optional encounters that were actually significantly out of the way and not just a little platform below another platform. So there's no reason they couldn't have done that with Eternal. But no, in the DLC, they just doubled down on the things that they did in the main game. And if I were to compare 2016 and Doom Eternal in like one phrase, think of Doom like your favorite birthday cake, right? 2016 is like having a nice, solid slice of that cake and eating the cake and be like, yeah, that was a great cake. Can't wait for the next cake, right? I'm satisfied. I'm good. Now, Doom Eternal is like shoving the entire cake down your throat. And it's like, you know, at the time you're like, wow, that was awesome. I had all this cake. And then afterward, you feel like complete shit. You might throw up, shit your pants, and you just feel hollow inside because you know that was a mistake. And that's exactly how I feel about Doom Eternal. It's too much of a good thing, as they say. Because they took every mechanic from Doom 2016 and just cranked it to 11 and ignored all of the other things that made 2016 good. And so yeah, the people who are hardcore into as these super mega fast arena shooters like are desensitized to any normal game at this point, so they're basically a drug addict, right? It's like moving from weed to heroin, or I don't know, coffee and pre-workout to cocaine or something. I don't know, it's not the best analogy. The point is, they're so desensitized to like the 2016 experience that they can't see how anybody could possibly like it better than Eternal. For everybody else who just played the game like once or twice and then Eternal comes out and then you're like, wow, that they went a little bit too far in a few places.
I may have gone too far in a few places.
And I really don't need to talk about it in detail. I know some people want to see it, but yeah, it's just not worth the time. This is going to be the last time I talk about Eternal, probably. And one last thing I want to talk about, and this is the type of comment I've gotten a few times, is essentially, if you keep insulting your audience, you'll never make it on this website. First of all, most of the time I'm not insulting my audience. I'm insulting people who basically, intentionally or not, usually not intentionally, it's the YouTube algorithm recommending my videos to the wrong type of people. My videos get brigaded by a bunch of people who've never seen my content before, don't like my criticism, and then immediately insult me. So, forgive me if I preemptively counter what I correctly predict are what are exactly going to be your comments. I knew half of you would say just get good. I fucking knew it because you're so predictable, because that's the first place that fanboys of these type of games go for. And how do I know that? Oh, I don't know, only because I've been the Souls fan base for 10 fucking years. Yeah, you get used to people saying get good. And just because a game is hard does not make it good. And just because a game is fast does not make it good. Just because a game has complex mechanics does not make it good. And these are things that are very hard for people to swallow. And the truth is, it's not even about whether or not the fans are insulted. It's people wanting their dicks sucked by YouTubers. And you know it. You know it deep in your psychology, and you won't admit it. Because then you would have to question your own morality. And I'm sorry, I'm not sucking anybody's dick. I'm going to call it like it is. Whether you think it's right or not, I'm going to give my opinion. And that's the end of it. Alright, and that's about it. Honestly, I don't even care anymore which game is better. It doesn't matter to me. I'm honestly just sick of this arena shooter style because it's such like a... It's so simplistic. Like, this is one of the few times where I thought, you know, maybe some video games aren't art. As pretentious as that sounds. Because if your game boils down to, like, basically Pong with 1,000 mechanics, and there's no story that matters, there's no level design that matters, there's no immersion, I don't know, it doesn't appeal to me very much. So, whatever, you know, I guess I hope you guys get what you want, the fans, from the next game, but I won't be playing it if it's more of this shit. Yeah, so, hey guys, thanks for watching. This video was a bit difficult for me to make, and I was very angry, as you could probably tell, when I recorded a lot of that, whatever you want to call it. I don't think I've spoken that fast in a long time. And honestly, I've come to the conclusion that I'm probably not going to read as many comments anymore. I'm still going to try to respond to the positive ones when I see them, but shit like this is really starting to take a toll on my psyche, so, you know, I'm not gonna give you a sob story, but essentially, I was depressed for like 10 years. I'm not joking at all. And I finally pulled myself up by my bootstraps, essentially, over the past like year and a half, and you would think the YouTube channel was definitely part of that, but actually, believe it or not, lifting weights was a bigger part of really pulling myself out of depression. So, I guess the point I'm trying to get to here is that reading 1,000 comments shitting on me does eventually wear me down. Even growing up on the internet, you don't have, you know, 1,000 people directly criticizing you. You know, you might get in arguments with people online, I've done it many times, but there's just something about people, like, unifying against you that just, it gets me, dude. It fucking triggers me so hard. And I am a little ashamed to admit it, but it is what it is. And so, yeah, you know, if I don't read your comment, you know, I'll probably get to it later, but yeah, I'm gonna be taking a break from that for a while, so... Yeah, but you know, I'm still gonna be making videos. That's not gonna cause any delays in my review schedule at all. It's just, it's gonna be a bit more of a one-sided relationship for a while, is what I'm saying. So, yeah, the rest of my schedule is still the same, though I have been playing Prototype, so that review will be sooner rather than later, but it will be after Outriders, I'm thinking, and then after that, I'm gonna finally tackle Resident Evil 5, I think, and then I'll do Ratchet & Clank. Then I'll probably do another Patreon video. But, you know, like, if I schedule these things too far ahead, it doesn't usually work out that way. But that's gonna be the general schedule. But that's it. I'll see you next time, guys.